So I think increasing New Zealand's competitiveness and especially productivity it's not about working harder. New Zealanders work pretty hard. It's not about getting more for less out of our labour utilisation. It's about weightless exports. It's about information technology enabling businesses to create stuff, products and services that can be sold overseas. How do you achieve that in a kind of constrained capital environment? Well, you can do some things like bringing in venture capital from overseas, which we're doing to fund New Zealand startup businesses that are going to the world. There's a little bit that government can do to help that. They're certainly doing that through VIF and SCIF, the funding instruments that support venture capital investments. But I think by far and away the most important thing is to create a strong Indigenous ICT industry. So the big thing that government can influence there is procurement policy. If we have procurement policy that gives a level playing field to consortia of New Zealand businesses, then that creates an ecosystem of skilled technical people with good experience, and some of those, not all of them, but some of those are going to become the next Sam Morgan or the next Rod Drury. And we can't just rely on those people accidentally deciding to do this or randomly having the skills and attributes or background to do that. We need a strong ecosystem of support where those people are emerging out of a strong Indigenous ICT industry. So lots of companies servicing private sector and government. And it's a real balance between that and between engaging multinational ICT companies and getting them working with local companies and supporting the local environment. So it's not one or the other, it's doing better with both.
I think in terms of what CIOs could do, it's definitely not more of the same. It's definitely, I would think, getting much closer to the user community that are out there. We've got a lot of great people in business who have the ideas, and I don't think IT is really enabling those ideas right now, from the CIO led all the way down to the people in the business. I think perhaps get away from some of the compliance, risk, unproductive type of nature of what IT departments get into. Recruit and very good people, leverage off their innovation. We get really close to users. Users are expecting a different degree of utility from IT applications right now, and that's borne out with a new digital generation coming through, the capability and access to applications, the amount of broadband capability that's out there, and within an enterprise that's no different to acting at home and what's available. So I think getting closer to your users, making sure you provide those applications and tool sets to get the job done, and really those smart people are out in front of the customers and growing the business and growing your business internationally. How about just really getting closer to them and enabling their ideas?
When you sent me the question, I was thinking about it for a few days. Some complex idea or some complex thing, some big plan. But then I was talking to a few friends about this, and one of them mentioned the concept of cooperation. So that's cooperation and competition. Now what it said was, well, we should cooperate nationally and then compete internationally. So what it's saying is, in New Zealand we can't compete, we can't have a fragmented marketplace. So what that means is more and more people need to start working together within New Zealand, developing technologies, working with each other, networking, and not have a hostile environment. Rather than say, even maybe a IP sharing agreement or whatever it be, so that we can't afford fragmentation. We have, in the University of Auckland, we have a commercialization branch, University of Canterbury has one, Massey has one. We can't afford that many organizations trying to put New Zealand on the map. What we need is a focused approach. And for that to happen, I think big place to start is the universities. Because I think the students are one of the most underutilized resource New Zealand has. And if we can leverage that network and get people cooperating with each other in development of technology, IP, lawyers helping out students in terms of telling them, well, you're heading in the right direction, or the freedom of operation, you are allowed to work in these space, things like that students don't really think about. So it's about that, creating that ecosystem where people can work together in New Zealand, and when they go overseas, they can compete in the markets.
Yeah, I sure can, Kevin, and thanks for the opportunity to have a talk to you guys today. Great conference. I think it's really around the area around research and development. So when I think about R&D in New Zealand, and I think about historically how we've performed against other developing countries, our percentage spend would be pretty poor. And I think where we have spent money, we've probably focused on the areas such as biotech, clean tech. Whilst they're admirable things, I don't think they're going to really help us become a more prosperous country, a more prosperous nation. So I think the areas of focus around that R&D really need to be in that science and technology piece. And when I think and talk about science and technology, I'm really starting to think about things like niche markets. So the niche markets, those small things, those things that make a little bit of a difference that other countries like the States and China don't have the scope and breadth to be able to sit there and achieve what they need to. With us being a small country, we can make some huge earners for some of those export things. I start to think about Fisher & Paykel Healthcare with what they're doing around sleep apnea devices. Now, not many people would know about them, but I think when we look at science and technology export spend, Fisher & Paykel Healthcare are really, really right up there. So for me, it's around embracing that niche market, looking for those strange and weird ideas, and probably historically as a country, not something we've embraced as well as we need to be. And I really think that those weird and wonderful things are actually going to be the things that make a difference for us. Get 100 of those entrepreneurs out there that can sit there and do something that's going to sit there and make a huge, huge difference for New Zealand. Embrace them, sit there and invest some more money in research and development, and I think we'll have a more prosperous and a greater place to live.
Sure, that's great. I think one thing that's really important is to provide more opportunities for IT education. In New Zealand we have a lot of productivity in the workforce already, but in order to bring it to the next level, we can use IT both to educate the people that are already in the workforce as well as those about to enter the workforce, and also use IT to provide business opportunities for those who are trying to increase the productivity of their companies as well. For example, we're using IT to be able to engage with export partners overseas, or be able to let students in New Zealand to be able to connect with some of the best training courses globally in the world. So I think that there's a fantastic opportunity to use IT for education and to increase productivity through education.
Yeah, I think in a country like New Zealand, where we're obviously constrained with regards to resources as well as capital funding that we have available, I think technology is obviously one way to overcome maybe some of the disadvantages that we have in New Zealand compared to some other countries, such as China or some countries in Europe who are have a lot more skills, expertise, and also capital available to compete on the global stage. Unfortunately, what we're seeing at the moment in New Zealand is that we're obviously doing significant investments in technology. However, not all of the investments actually lead to the results or the outcomes that we actually anticipate when we start this project. So rather than doing necessarily more or investing more, I think simply if we could increase the success rate of the projects that we are doing as we speak, I think we could do a big step forward to increasing our competitiveness and at the end of the day OECD ranking as well.
I mean, for example, whitelisting New Zealand sites is probably a good start. So we're lucky that we've got a lot of ISPs already whitelisting Trade Me. But I think anything .nz should be whitelisted just by default, because that's obviously just local traffic. And then as the New Zealand web marketplace increases, you'll get a lot more people just browsing to that, because they know it's not going to be charged for it, it's not going to come out in their statement. And then it's the international sites that maybe will get started as an intermediate step. And then, yeah, that's just a stepping stone to just having no metering at all. The sooner we can do that, the better.
Investment by companies in their own internal systems and internal processes to increase their productivity, increase their competitiveness. One of the ways that they can do this is by telling New Zealand businesses to invest more in open source software as the underlying infrastructure for their businesses, because it facilitates or it enables them to hone and to continually improve their internal systems in a way that generally proprietary alternatives don't allow. And it allows for people who have the best understanding of the way that individual businesses work to actually be the ones that determine how their processes can improve and change and be revolutionized to be innovative relative to their competitors overseas.
You asked what IT leaders in New Zealand can do to enhance competitiveness. The key driver here in terms of competitiveness is actually productivity growth. What drives productivity is innovation. What can an IT leader do in terms of that? Put in place sort of the platforms and the infrastructure that enable broad sectors of a company, not just a few people in product management or R&D, but empower a broad group of people to come up with the ideas. That's one half of it. And the second part is make sure that you're giving those few key people, the ones who are going to have a disproportionate impact on the quality of the outcome, the very best possible support that they can. So empower the broad mass and provide outstanding support to the few key people who are the really productive ones. It may be politically incorrect, but recognize that not all of your people are created equal, and actually what you want to make sure is that the highest potential producers are really getting what they need to do their jobs well.
So there's a couple of things I might mention. One of them is not so much about productivity, but just having the greatest people on your team, finding the smart people, the energetic, passionate people that want to do things is just so key. And that's how I found in my teams and in our environment. We've driven great productivity, great innovation. But to an extent, your team is your team. And in that environment, I might say that collaboration tools and finding a way to foster deep collaboration within a team is something that's actually really easy to do these days and leads to some interesting increases in productivity. So to give you a couple of examples, within the Netflix environment, we spend a lot of time collaborating on designs for new products, on ideas for new products, and being able to have a place that people can go and just contribute to the development of those products ends up being just an incredibly efficient way to take a gem of an idea and turn it into something that can be realized. It's also, I've found, something that drives a little bit of a competitive spirit, which can also be helpful. So there's a degree of one-upmanship that can come into play when you're all sort of on the same team building the same product, and that can help to increase productivity and increase motivation.